Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast, powered by Game 7 Baseball, Game7Baseball.com. That's my guy. He's back. We got that one this time. Last time I messed it up, didn't I?
Yeah, it's been a while, so.
Yep. But we've got Game 7 Baseball on the brain right here. We're working it. It's coming up. First, it's March.
Next weekend? 2 weekends?
2 weekends. Starting in Branson. I know Tennessee has already had Game 7 tournament last weekend.
That's right. So, we had one last weekend and play again this week.
There you go. It's happening, man. Baseball is starting. You can smell the grass.
I can feel the pollen.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm good. It's been a rough couple of days for me. I don't know about you down there, Barron, but it's been windy up here, and it kicked my tail on Sunday and Monday.
I believe it. Yeah.
I got some bad
allergies are full force right now.
Yep.
It's starting quick. That's the only thing about an early spring. It starts early. But we don't care because we want baseball, right? We care a little, right?
I do. Turn on my AC and everything, trying to.
We're not. We got some stuff coming up in April, though. That we got. Hey, stay tuned, though. We're going to be giving away our Super 7 Scholarship Award here in the month of March. Blake Lansbaum from last year was with Midland, taking this award home. We're going to be presenting that here coming up real soon. So make sure you stay tuned for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got some cool stuff coming up with Game 7 Baseball out at Warrenton, the new Warrenton Complex, turf field. First time there with that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Really good year. Make sure you're registered. If you got an open date, get in there. It's going to be some fun, right? You're going to come out and call some games with us on Sunday afternoons.
I'm going to be there somewhere.
Yeah.
I got all kinds of people asking me, like, can I help do this, do that? And I'm like, man, I got stuff going on. I can help a game or two, but I don't know about this or that, because we got some coaches that have some conflicts coming up for our younger age groups for prime. And so it's like going through that process. I'm like, man, I got.
Did you not know that when you made your schedule?
Well, we let the coaches make the schedule. We don't try to.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about those coaches.
No, you made the schedule.
I made the schedule?
Yeah, I'm going here with you. I gotta skip with him. I love calling the games. I don't think I'm
You're
very
talking.
good at
It's
it.
my fault.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, I had to blame
Game7Baseball.com. Go register. We'll get there. Hey, I can't. We got to get to this. I want to introduce Barron Mathis with Midland Baseball. We met him down on the winter workout tour from Nashville. Joining us on the show today, Barron. Thanks for coming on, man.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. I appreciate the conversation, and just anytime we can talk baseball is a good day. I'm happy for it.
We're going to do this real quick, though, because we got a big announcement coming at the end of this. We're going to announce. We're going to wait. We're going to talk with Barron. We're going to do this, but stay tuned. You want to hear this. It's going to be a lot of fun, okay? But we want to follow up today with some baseball in Tennessee. We had the tour stop down there. It was a lot of fun. We met some really good people. Talk to the folks about your program a little bit down there, Barron.
Well, it's a really good time of year for us. We've got a lot of high schooler kids here in Tennessee who actually just had their first regular season game this week. So some of them have already played one, some of them are getting ready to play one, but they've been scrimmaging and practicing. And the little kids, usually the high school kids will move on, and we kind of, get arm's length from them and let them go do their high school thing. And the little kids amp up right now, and we start playing. So we've been doing some winter workouts, never really stopped, took time off for the holidays here and there. And all of our teams that are 8 through 12 are obviously ready to play right now. Anybody who's 13, kind of middle school age, on up until 17, and there's 23 teams throughout the program that are between 8 and 17. So we've got a lot going on, a lot of coaches to shuffle and players to shuffle and parents to shuffle with the whole thing. But this is a fun time of the year because everybody is kind of going opposite directions. High school is going one way, and the little guys are itching to get outside, get away from the indoor facility, and finally back onto the field where we can play. And so we're excited about that. It's a lot of fun. You guys came down. That was a really, really good time. You got to see one of our really good 14U teams practice at the time. and they do a great job. All of our coaches, we've got a really good combined skill set throughout all coaches at all levels. We had a coaches quarterly one meeting 2 Saturdays ago, where we just kind of all get together and we talk about the state of the union of Midland. We talk about what's going on, what can we improve on, what does the new coach need help with from the coach who's been doing it for 20 something years. So it's a really cool family environment. And I know everybody says that, and there's a lot of great organizations out there, a whole lot of them, but I'm very proud to be a part of this one.
That's pretty cool stuff. I like the what you said for your coaches, that you guys have like quarterly. I'm assuming quarterlies because you said Q1, so I'm assuming that you have quarterly opportunities. I'm curious on obviously Missouri. I'm assuming that you have similarities in weather. We start somewhere around the new year. Our high school practices, tryouts, just were last week, so these guys are still going through their first weeks of full practice after tryouts. When does your guys' tryout start for like high school? And do you build so many weeks prior to that leads up to that for both youth and high school?
It's a good question. In Tennessee, almost all high schools are trying out during the fall. There's going to be several that wait until the new year, but for the most part, the bigger programs, 90% are going to do it in the fall. So they'll know that they've made the high school team. They can do the winter workouts. They can work out with them. They work out with us. We can do kind of a combo, but you've got to be cognizant of not overusing somebody, not working them out too much, all the stuff that you need to be aware of and be mindful of. So yeah, fall, and then the same thing with our travel ball teams. We have a day in the fall on Saturday where we have the little kids go to one field, and we've got the bigger kids, and we funnel it all day long, and it's just by age group, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of time. And then we'll have a makeup day for those who just couldn't make it for one reason or another, and they'll come back. We run kind of a pro-style tryout. Everybody gets the fair share, the fair shot. We don't want that email that says, Timmy didn't have enough time on the cage or didn't get to throw enough pitches. Everybody had the same. So we had a lot of kids come out this year, had a really good turnout, the biggest we've ever had. So we're fortunate to have a good relationship with the high schools here, especially locally. Middle Tennessee has got a lot of great high schools and a lot of great high school teams and good coaches. We've got great relationships with them, so we get to use some of their fields. And likewise, we'll use some of the softball fields for the little guys. Similar parameters, and we can get a tryout in outside. But yes, in the fall, to answer your question, that's a long-winded way to answer it, but in the fall.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't expect that answer. That's something that's new, and I now it leads to other questions, but that's maybe for another day. I noticed that our kids too. We've been inside for about 8 or 9 weeks or so for some of our youth teams, and you're starting to see that coaches are taking advantage of some of the nice weather that we've had. And the practices are very different right now because they're outside versus being back indoors. And so, like just yesterday, it was we had scheduled pitching and infield stuff yesterday, and some of those kids just like on our younger side were like, "Man, I got to go back inside." And it's like that for everybody though. Yeah. Like parents, coaches, the players for sure, and the coaches for sure. They're like, "Let's get outside." That's where baseball is played. I'm sick of running around in a 90 by 90 area. Like, let's run around.
Yeah. The ball bounces different on the dirt than it does the turf. You almost have to relearn all the little short house stuff that you've been spending weeks and weeks talking about, especially the little kids. I've got the 16-year-old premier team, and then I have the 10U. So 10U, we practice outside only 2 or 3 times right now, going into our first outside tournament, going into our first actual game. But we've been indoors for months. But it's a different feel, and it's hard to see that live pitching, and it's hard to get the feel from the mound and a batter actually in the box and somebody who's acting like an umpire behind the umpire, which is usually a dad or a volunteer or even one of my 16-year-old kids that I make come down and hang out at practice and help. But you have to get outside. That's where you play the game, and it's time. Everybody's that space is great, and we love it, but it is time to get outside.
Yep.
I think that's one of the interesting parts about the early tournaments. They should be just a matter of getting the feel, getting out. You've been inside, whether you're playing on turf or dirt. you're still going to get different because the ball's going to come off the bat. You got coach hitting a fungo or rolling you the baseball or whatnot. It's different than that focus intent that you need to have seeing the bat or seeing the ball off a bat. Do you really expect the ball to get hit to you? All those things that come into playing in a game that are different than coach hitting a fungo to you and you're doing that. He's smacking them to you. I got that. Well, now all of a sudden it's for real. That kid, you don't know if he's swinging or not, and you got to set your mind. I think that's one of the most difficult things for 9, 10, 11, 12. It's one of the most difficult things, period, is to set your mind as a fielder. And I think this is why defense is so important and so difficult, is to set your mind as a fielder that person, that pitch, the ball's going to get hit to me and I'm going to make the play. To have that kind of mentality dealing with little kids, that's hard to instill, isn't it?
I think it is. I think it's one of the hardest things to do. And then you've got somebody running as fast as they can to try to put more pressure on you. So the way or at least the way I do, we try to simulate pressure situations. And at the little ages, the younger guys, almost that you have to do that with games, with team games, or you're just little things. And sometimes it's not even baseball related, just something to put pressure on them where there has to be a consequence. And it may be something very, very small, like a 2 or 3 push-ups. It doesn't have to be anything serious. They're little kids. But you're trying to simulate the pressure so that when we get there and it's actually happening, I've seen this before. First couple of times, it's probably not going to go well. And then it'll click, I hope. But to your point, the first tournament for us, we treat it as glorified scrimmage. That's all it is. I'm moving kids around. I have no intentions of trying to save my best arm for any of the stuff that you usually do with travel baseball. I just want everybody to have enough reps to where they've all played, they've all seen it, and then the next time we go into a tournament, they won't be as nervous because they'll be nervous.
Yeah, there's so much that's different, right? I mean, our walls inside of our facility are black, and so it's very easy to pick up the baseball. The baseball's coming. It's easier to stand in the back of the line, goof off for about 10, 15 seconds, and then you're back up there. The baseball's coming to you. And then you have elements. It's raining there this weekend. So I'm assuming, or right now, or getting ready to. It's here that for us, we're going to get some bad weather over the next couple of days, or it's going to be cloudy. So how does it mix with the skies? How do the bleachers, all of these things come into play that we just, take for granted because obviously we love our indoor space. But it just, the elements change. If it's windy and you got a 10-year-old throwing across the diamond, it may take off, if they don't throw the ball hard enough across the infield. So it's all these things, these variables happen. And something that I loved what he said there was he's trying to create pressure. We do this often. And one of the things that we will do to create you can't mimic the emotion of a game. Right. It's just it's not the same. There's the pressures that you have from coaches. It's yelling, people, it's sounds, it's all kinds of stuff going on. Umpires, right? Somebody else running down the baseline. But what we do is we try to recreate the energy of it. The heart rate builds, even at the younger age group, to learn how to take breathing treatments and how to breathe through your exercises, whether you're hitting, and you just hit a ball down the line and it just went foul. Now you have 2 strikes on you and you're the last opportunity for your team. And how do you mentally prep for that? Right. So you have to run sprint. I got my guys that they'll take swings. I'll have them run 5 sprints, get exhausted, and have them sit in there and they'll take a bad swing. And then I said, did you breathe? Nope. So the next time, and I get lucky, this is the greatest part about being a coach is sometimes you get lucky, They'll go in there, they'll take off running, they'll take that last breath and they'll lace a single or, nice little line drive up the middle. And you're like, yeah, see, I told you so. Right. It makes you feel good. It's like, I don't always lose, and when the stuff I'm saying, but we do it with everything. We do it with pressure situations with pitching, defense, and on the offensive side. And those little bitty consequences will create a little bit of change in that heart rate, maybe a little bit of frustration. And you have to learn how to deal with that. Because at some point during that season, it'll be hot. You have to deal with heat. Oh, yeah. You have to mentally prep for all that. Yeah. Sometimes it's not just a game though. Like it's baseball related. It is sometimes a random team
Well, it's
opportunity.
sometimes at this point of the year, and I think even in Tennessee, Mitch, the kid's got his hand in the back pocket on the hand warmer still, and you pull it out late, right? I mean, it's just the reality of it. It's cold outside. I mean, I've been on the field in some of these early games umpiring. It's not fun, and it's just not fun. You can say what you want to, but these kids are doing the best they can. With the conditions, and I'm going to keep my hands in my pockets as long as I can as well.
Absolutely. You hope that you don't get that 8 a.m. game, that first tournament, because it's going to be cold. Nobody wants to be there, but we're here.
And it's dewy.
But knock on wood. I just said that. I'll get the 8 o'clock game. I guarantee it.
Oh, they haven't had the schedule released yet. Man.
Wednesday nights.
Exactly.
Well, hopefully you don't get that 8 a.m. game.
I love Game 7. Shout out to Game 7. Help me with the schedule.
There you go. Yeah, Dave, did you catch that, bro? There you go. Well, I don't think it's Dave here. We're talking on your side. You guys got some great folks. We met a lot of those guys down there. Who do you deal with down there with Game 7?
Jody Witt does a lot of really good stuff for us. She's the director, Middle Tennessee, and she'll handle 2 or 3 tournaments a weekend, different spots, different locales. Coaches are coaches. There's tons of us, and everybody wants to play in that specific spot. So she does a really good job communication-wise and kind of directing traffic.
There you go.
Learning how to rely on people.
Yeah.
That's a skill set in itself.
It is. I agree. When you're talking about, especially tournaments, and as you said, Barron, you guys are coaches. You go, oh man, conflict. Can I get this? Can I, we got to do this. Why not? It's tough. I remember back in the day, you put in your stuff, and some of these directors just tell you, tough luck. You play when we tell you. You're like, fine. So I think a lot of it has changed in that respect. And I think a lot of tournament directors have been very, very accommodating for the most part. They do the best they can with what they're given, what you can, because you have an 8 o'clock spot. Somebody is going to have to play at 8 a.m. That's just a fact. So, but most of the people that I've seen and whatnot, they do a pretty good job of helping people out.
I think I think the coaches have control of that because ultimately we make the decisions on who we play with, what organization that we choose. So if you keep acting a particular way and the services or the values not there, we're not going to continue to go there.
No.
And then we're not going to,
that is the truth.
If we have a good experience, we tell 3 or 4 people. If we have bad experiences, we tell the world. Right. And so if they can't do that, there's enough teams around maybe, but we're going to do our darndest to say, don't go play here because this is what they did to us. And some people don't have that experience. They may have different relationships. So be it. I mean, they are built. I mean, there's a lot of teams that spend a lot of times in one organization. That is a relationship that will be built. But whatever. That's getting at the end of the day. I think almost that we have to do that. Yeah. It's like we're obviously, Coach Barron and myself, we're in their service industry in general, and we're working with these athletes, and so we have to create value. If he doesn't create value in his organization, he's not getting people to return. It costs way too much money, so you have to create value. You have to be fair. You have to be honest.
Absolutely.
And that's why we choose to play in the tournament providers that we do, is for that same reason.
You guys got anybody, any of your teams coming up this way into the St. Louis area this year?
Matter of fact, the 10-year-old team is going to come. When I was talking to you guys came down, I spent some time with Dave and Dave, and they offered an entry up to, I guess, Edwardsville, Illinois, kind of in that Midland Invitational outside St. Louis. So we're going to do that. That's not until early May, though.
Right.
So this is at 10. This was the biggest kind of thought that I was having, trying to figure out whether or not how many out-of-town tournaments do I want to take this 10-year-old team on. Last year we didn't do any. We had planned one, and it got rained out. So this year we're going to do the Ripken Experience, which is going to be fun, and we'll see some teams that we've never seen. We'll go down to Albertville and play at that facility. That's a great place if you've never been. That's Albertville, Alabama. It's fantastic. And then we'll go up to Edwardsville and play up there. So that'll be a lot of fun. 3.
Albertville's in Alabama?
Albertville, yes.
Okay.
Cool.
I like going down south.
Did you say out like O-U-T?
Albert. It may be my southern in me. It's Albertville.
That's okay. Albertville. That's okay.
But we like those facilities. We like those facilities. I mean, usually what'll end up happening is I'm trying to coordinate that one where the 12-year-old team will be there so that we can go watch some of those Midland teams. Or at the very end of the year, if the young guys are still playing and I finally get my high school guys back, we can do the 16U and the 10U at the same place at the same time. And it just because they love each other. These two teams interact like you wouldn't believe. It's crazy.
I think it's cool. We got to get you some headphones, though, bro, because we're feeding back through the deal. But we'll get there. It's not too bad, but just in the future, we got to get you some headphones. The one thing that I want to talk to you about here within that, I think this is a great subject. We'll talk about those things, in the future. But I want is the travel. When do you do that? How do you do that? I think that was something you were. But I want to get to high school. High school baseball in Tennessee. I mean, we see some guys. You got the University of Tennessee is right down the road, not too far from you guys in Knoxville. There's some Memphis, of course, is on the other side. University of Memphis. There's Vanderbilt, of course, right there in Nashville. With the mix of high school there in Nashville, what are you seeing? Do you see a lot of D1 kids? Do you see a lot of D2 kids, or is it just the mix of everything, just like anywhere else?
Well, I have a pretty good handle on that just because I do the college recruiting for Midland. So all of our teams that are 14, 15, 16, and 17, and we have a national team at 14 and a national team at 15. So there's a lot of recruiting that goes on. So I see the communications, but overall, it really is a mix. There is a lot of baseball in Middle Tennessee, high school wise, a significant amount. If you go out towards Knoxville area, there's a ton out there. Farragut out there is the best team that's probably going right now in several states. And likewise, if you go to the other side, but in Middle Tennessee, just here in Williamson County, you've got Independence and Centennial, and I mean, I'll forget if I start listing everybody, I'll forget somebody, and somebody will get angry. But there's so many. Nolensville, I mean, the high school level of talent, there's going to be 2 to 3 typically D1 guys on those rosters, a bunch of Division II and junior college players. And that junior college route has opened up tremendously because we're still seeing guys on their 6th year of eligibility at the college level. And especially with the transfer portal, if they can go get somebody who's 21 or 22 rather than a 17-year-old senior, it's kind of leaning that way a little bit. It's not everywhere, but it's leaning that way. But there's a ton of really good schools here in Middle Tennessee that people are looking at: Belmont, Lipscomb, Trevecca, all these places that's a fantastic place to play baseball. So it really is a true mix, but there's some significant talent right now coming through Middle Tennessee. Not just with Midland by any means, but just some fun baseball. If you're a junkie and you just wanted to watch a high school game, pick one. It doesn't matter. You're going to see somebody.
It seems like this is happening in different places that I have conversations with. Like I have friends that are in Texas, and obviously, you see Friday Night Lights and you just see Texas football, and it's like Texas softball, Texas baseball. It's similar. Everybody's got some dudes, and I grew up in the late 90s. That's when I graduated high school. And I can remember 85 being like, that's a guy, right? 88 obviously was going to get drafted. And now it's like we're cutting kids that throw 85, 87 in some of our high schools now. And it's wild to me. It just like there's got to be a place. That kid can go to any other school, maybe, it's obviously a smaller school and play. But some of these kids just get darn right unlucky. And it is great to be a part of, because I really I was in the softball world for a long time. My daughter played softball. She played D2 at UMSL, which obviously ends up going down to Trevecca, I think Nazarene or whatever it is, D2 school down there. And so we've been all over. Our head coach went to Belmont. But anyways, when I got into the baseball side, I thought, man, baseball's down in St. Louis. It's like I didn't see all this talent. And Well, I didn't know. I was way off. And I moved out in the area that I moved to. And I'm like, man, these high schools out here are pumping kids out that are getting drafted out of high school, like several, or they're going these top levels. It started with like the Ross Detweilers of the world back when Holt was, our big area school. And I'm like, man, we talked to a gentleman last week, same thing. We got dudes. I'm like, we have dudes. Like, I want to now just see everybody, and I didn't even know this thing wasn't happening. It's you could take teams from different states and they can end up in one large high school tournament. You just have to open up and search, and it's out there.
Well,
that's why one of my favorite ages is 15, 16, and 17. 16 is great because you hardly do anything but travel, and you go to see these teams. You're going down to East Cobb, you're going down to wherever. I mean, we're going to play in Sarasota this year. I've never been, but it's where the spring training complex is, and we're going to see some guys, and we've got a couple ourselves, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But we've had the narrative that baseball kind of died down at the young age about 4 or 5 years ago. I don't think was ever accurate because there's a bunch of kids playing right now. And Nashville itself has kind of blown up as an attractive place for people to move. So we're seeing a significant amount of people coming in from California and Texas who play year round, and kids are fitting just right in, ready to go.
That was said last week.
Yeah.
In people moving from the coast and moving into the Tennessee area.
Because we had Andrew Beeman from Showtime, Hojo Baseball on.
Oh, Hojo. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And he said the exact same thing as you did, Barron.
Yeah. They're here.
And I think that's what's cool about baseball in that respect. I want to, as you're talking about the 16U, you evidently have a premier team. You're traveling a lot, whatnot, but that isn't always necessary for every team, is it?
No, it's not. So you hope that the program can allow for multiple teams. At least usually it's finding the good coaches that want to do it, and we're fortunate that we do. So we've got 3 teams at the 16U level, 3 at the 15, and 2 at the 17, and one will carry the premier team title, and they'll run all over the country. And then the second one and third one really compete. The idea is all 3 of them can compete against each other. That'd be fantastic. But we want to make sure that there's a home if the kid still wants to play, and we have a coach willing to coach, a good coach willing to coach, that they have a spot. And so that's why we try to carry multiple teams at multiple levels. I mean, actually, all the way down to, I think 8 might be the only age group we don't have more than one team.
Wow.
Yeah, I like that.
It's important, and like you said, because some of these kids, and when we look at this high school experience, if you got some of these bigger teams, and we have a few of these in our area where I know there's going to be kids that are juniors maybe that throw pretty good, play pretty well, that may not get a lot of playing time on their varsity squad because the talent level is just deep. And so really where they're going to get their work and their done is in the summertime.
Mm-hmm. And that ends up being what happens. A lot of high school teams, and not naming names or anything, but they'll carry almost 50 kids, and that's usually 2 JVs and a varsity. That's a lot of kids to manage, playing time to manage, parents to manage. And when it turns into travel baseball season and these kids are paying, and that's an important aspect of this, it's not paying to play, but you're paying to be a part of the team. So we call it shared playing time, not equal playing time. There's 2 different things. But we do want to make sure that everybody's getting their work in, their practice in, their reps in. So if they're not getting it in, TSSAA has a really strict rule about playing any games, which is why we don't play any travel ball games during the high school season. But if somebody needs some extra swings over spring break, man, I'll meet you at the facility. We'll go do it.
So this area back here is basically production. They do a lot of the artwork back here. They do the production. So any of that stuff that comes in off of, we'll say, our fanware stores, stuff that comes in off the team stores, a lot of the coaches wear, a lot of the last minute, hey, we got to have it in the next 10 minutes stuff. That's all comes back here. This area is where all the day-to-day stuff that comes in really goes through. The retail store is its own little entity. This is where the real work is done.
Told you I like this guy. That's what I believe, man. I think it's true. You're not paying to play. You're paying for the development process. You're paying for the coaching and all those things. And you've got to still earn your way into playing time. It's about being good at what you do. And that's the way it is at every level. There's people, when you get a job, you're getting paid, but that other guy may get paid a little bit more because he does a little bit better than you. I mean, that's just a fact of the nature of things. And I know that's not necessarily sometimes what we'd like to, that's being propagated, but I think those things are still reality. And making sure these high school kids, I understand, you may go to the high school experience and you may not think the guy in front of you is better than you, but that's what that coach said. So that doesn't mean you stop working or you put those things away. And keeping those kids in the right frame of mind is a very difficult thing, isn't it?
I think it's pretty cool for the high school experience that you have the opportunity to practice 5 times a week or plus, right? 5-6 times a week and playing games or whatever the case may be. Because that's how I think we get better. You can't just practice twice a week and get better, right? Ultimately, you have to practice this much. That's why I always like the end of high school season, and then we start playing because it seems like everybody's locked in. They've been playing. So I try to do the best I can to try to keep that, what they've experienced for the last 3 months going, because that's we're creatures of habit. And I agree with the same things, and it's just how we all interpret this. Like, you're not paying to be a part of my organization and to play. Like, you're paying to be part of an experience. The total experience, the good, bad, the ugly of it, and I don't know about you, Barron, but I think we're starting to see a little bit of that change here in our area where it's no longer my kid's here to play. Parents are seeming to vet a little bit more about the coaches so that when their kid comes in, no matter what the experiences is, they're going to get better, whether they're the number 1 or the number 12 kid on the roster. Our coaches, some of our cultures, we're only as good as our weakest link. And so we want our young people, our best players on the team, reaching out to the player that's number 12 on the depth chart, going, hey, how can I make this kid better? And those are the experiences and friendships that we try to preach. And are you seeing a flip in that? Because I will say a few years ago, I felt like it was strongly driven by parent influence.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's certainly got better than it even was 4 or 5 years ago, because it was tough sledding back then. I mean, you're dealing with, there was still a whole lot of daddy. I say this, I don't know what the term should be, but daddy ball. I know everybody understands what that means, but there was a lot of coaches that would continue to stay in the cycle because their kid played on the team, and there's nothing wrong with that if you're a good coach. But eventually, we want our guys who know what they're doing and have done it for a long, long time, which all of our older age group coaches have, to take over and to let your son be coached. And that dugout experience is worth the fee. How these kids interact with each other in there, good, bad, and ugly, holding each other accountable and picking each other up. I mean, it's important, and it's why I love baseball. Baseball teaches you everything you need to know about life. It is not going to be smooth sailing. There's going to be significant ups, significant downs, and if we can take the neutrality, you can just be neutral about everything. Baseball is a game of neutrality. If I can just stay smooth and stay even course, then we've got something. But to your point, yes, I do think for the most part, parents have realized that their kid is at the high school age is really being coached. I want him to be developed. Practice is almost more important than games at that point. And then finally, when they do get a shot at the field, it's not so much nervous tension that it's going to be fine. Whatever happens here, it's going to be fine. To be loose.
Do you think some of that change comes from, and I'm making assumptions here, from just the mental approach to coaching this sport versus, I'm assuming when you played, and I know when I played, that if a coach said to jump, I was jumping without needing any information. And nowadays, there's a lot more information that needs to be provided in general. Are you seeing a change in that, like the mental side of the sport? Do you think that's changing because we're spending more time? I'm just making assumptions. I'm assuming you spend time on having these conversations at practice. Do you think that's some of the change?
Oh, absolutely. The kids want to know why. The kids want to know the why. Why am I doing this? And that's perfectly fine, because as a coach, you should know why. And so you're not just coaching the game. It's not just down on third giving signals and you're trying to figure out when to hit run at the right time. You're teaching the game. You have to teach what was going through my head when I gave that signal. I know you got thrown out a second, but we're trying to steal right there because this was coming up, this was happening, and I've got this guy in the lineup, and this guy's getting ready to pitch. There's all this that goes into it, and the more that they understand the insides of the game, the philosophies of it, the strategy of it, makes them so much better of a player, and they're willing to do those things once they believe in you. And that all starts with believing in you.
That's an IQ.
I think it goes to what he just said, believing in you. Regardless, of whether the coach in the past just said you jump and the kid jumped, or I don't have a problem. I believe you should be able to answer the question, and a player should be able to ask why. Not because they go, oh, well, why do I have to do that? Most kids are asking because they really want to know. And there should be an answer. And as a coach, you should be able to developing trust is the key to it. I don't care what you say to the kid. If he doesn't believe in you or trust what you're saying, it doesn't matter. And I think that's the development process there, and developing relationships. The parents, you have on the one side, can the parent trust you to trust what where's the conversation? Where's the communication? When you see the guy that's had success and whatnot, he looks back and he said, yeah, my high school coach, man, he was great. We had a great relationship. I still talk to him today. He helps me with this. Because that relationship, there was a trust developed in that. And I think this is what, it isn't a matter of just saying, you do what I tell you to do. Okay. Do you really know what you're doing? And then this is the things that I think are necessary for us to come back to, is teaching is still about building trust. And do I trust what this person has to say? Is it right? Is it? And I think those things are definitely in play in what we do here as coaches, as mentors in that respect.
I completely agree with that. I think the kids are smarter than they've ever been, and when they're asking why, I don't think it's in a manner that's disrespectful at all. I think it's just wanting to know more about the game. So even when they're sitting in the dugout, and we talked about this a minute ago, when they're not playing at that time, and I've got 9 guys on the field, I want my guys up there next to me, just around me, and Coach Servin, Jeff Servin, who's my helps me run the 16U team, and we're there. So when a kid has a question, we can explain what just happened. We can walk through it. We can talk about how you set up this pitch, or you set up this guy, or look at his feet. There's so much that can go on in the dugout that is taught that, and unless you're sulking and sitting down because you're not playing, that's the approach I don't want.
I love, typically we only have so many coaches that, one, 2 coaches and some young kid, or, whatever the case may be. I was fortunate enough for the last couple of years with my 14 and 15U team, I had multiple coaches on the bags, and I could sit in the dugout. The one thing that I did when I coached college was I sat in the dugout and helped. I was a bench coach, exactly what that was. I loved that piece of it because it challenged me as a coach to make sure I understood the game and understood their thought processes. And I try to tell that to my kids now. I do a lot of our training. So I only coach, I coach 2 upper level high school teams. So I coach a 16U team and I coach a 17/18U team. My 18-year-old kids don't really ask a bunch of questions anymore. They've figured it all out, right? But when I go back and I train these younger kids, they're like, Coach, why are you wanting me to move this particular way? Or why, why this, why that? I'm like, I need to make sure that whatever I'm incorporating, 1, I can do, and then 2, I can answer. And it's going to be, and I tell them, I was like, this might be a play that might happen once every couple of years. and we're going to be prepared for it. And then all of a sudden one day I'll get a phone call or a text message or an email, or I'll see him out and they'll go, Coach, do you remember that one time that was a year and a half ago? They might play somewhere else. They might be whatever. They're like, it happened. And I was ready for it. And it's like, these are things that are every day, but they become conscious if we give the reasons. And I like what he said, they're becoming smarter. I used to not like this. I used to not like to be challenged. I was just like, do what I tell you to do. And our IQs didn't get better. I'm guilty of in-game coaching too much. You've been at some of my games, and now I'm trying to challenge the IQ side of it. So, when it's a 2-1 count and it's a great hit and run, I yell. I was like, hey guys, this is a good count to be a hit and run. Make sure we're prepared, pre-pitch routines, like have all these locked in. And I'll have a coach like, how did you know that? And I was like, that only makes sense. Like, I can't explain that to you. I can't explain that why, but this is, we're trying to get things working, moving. Like, this is my only explanation on why. And history tells me it's a good opportunity, right? And I'll have coaches come up to me and go, why were you thinking hit and run? This is after the game, and I'll explain it. And then they'll go, oh, I never even thought about it like that. Because there's still a lot of young coaches. Some programs think that they don't want no parent coaches at the high school level, so they have paid coaches. Some of these kids are 22, 23 years old that really don't have a high IQ for the game either. So, they hear that stuff and they're learning. And I just want everybody to get better, because ultimately the kids benefit from it. So they can't have coaches out there just letting kids, fly off the chain with whatever they want to say.
Well, and that goes to the point, I agree with you. We've used the term daddy ball, and it's become kind of a synonymous with, that's bad. It isn't necessarily that the dad coach is the wrong coach. It's just, is he the most qualified for the situation? And that's what we need to look. I don't care if he's some kid's dad or not. Is he qualified to coach at this level? And I think that goes to the point. Is he better than the kid we bring over here to hire to do this? And he wants to do it. He wants to give his time and invest in these kids. Let him do it. That's, he played college ball. He played at a high level, got to this. He has a great understanding of the game and this and that. And the kids are responding to him. What are we doing? We're not making decisions based on information. We're making decisions based on our own idea of what something should be.
I agree. I don't think it needs to be black and white. I don't think it's a gray area for sure. And we've got several fathers who have sons on teams at the younger ages and a couple on the older ages who are fantastic. They're absolutely great. They understand how to get it done without a judgment field, because that's usually where people get in trouble. It's a judgment field. Somebody's getting preferential treatment. Not the case. It's not always the case, and it's necessary, especially at the younger ages, to have dads jump in and help out, because it's hard to wrangle a bunch of 10-year-olds. I'm gonna tell you.
You need an army.
You need
you need a couple moms. You need
That's
a
true.
manager.
Yes.
You need about 85 coaches. Like, there's just not enough to coach some of these. It always drives me. I know my weaknesses, and I don't think I do a good job of coaching the youth side. It's the excuses sometimes I hear from parents, like having excuses for why my kid does this, that, and the other. And I'm like, well, your kid doesn't like baseball enough. If anybody loves something or cares enough, they're going to be all in. It's just, I don't know why I'm like that. And it's really hard at that young age group. And so I think you're a saint for coaching at this level. As Andrew last week says, he coaches youth sports, 11U team or whatever he coached. I think that it takes a saint to coach that level, because you have to have a lot of patience.
Let's not get carried away.
I do.
It's getting big.
Well, I mean, I believe in my coaching ability. I've had a lot of experiences. Yeah. I sometimes my fuse is just a little too short for picking too many dandelions.
And that's okay. I personally like coaching the little kids. I think it's fun. I think they're crack. They, because they're 10. They're 10. It's it to me, the goal at the end of it, and one of the first experiences I had was coaching 5-year-olds in soccer. And it wasn't until maybe the last 2 games that I really saw the actual practice and the things that we had practiced all year come into play. That's okay. They were actually getting the concept that you were trying to apply within how you move the game, instead of the beehive, which is youth soccer. Was back in that day.
I'm sure it still is.
Yeah. So, but to the concept of dribbling, passing, moving, getting to an open spot, those types of things. And you saw that. And to me, that's the gratification of it. I don't care how long it took, it got there. And I think that's the patience you have to have with a 10-year-old or an 11-year-old and into a 12-year-old. Will they get there? And that's the point of it. And that's the point of youth sports. It's that taking that time, understanding that some will get there sooner, some may a little later, as long as they get there. And that's the point.
I mean, baseball wise, I want them, the entire goal is for them to continue to play the game. So even if it's not with me, if it's with another organization, as long as because that happens obviously. And I was coaching this team since they were 8. We did 8U twice because I had a bunch of 7-year-olds. So 8U, 9U, 10U. And if over that course of time, you lose some kids to other programs, but you see them at Game 7 tournaments and they come up and we high five, and I'm glad they're still playing. It doesn't matter where it is.
Yeah. I think that's the coolest experience is being able. My first graduating class in softball was 2013. So that's when my daughter graduated and moved on. I guess she moved on in 2014, but she played up. So that's first 2013 class. All those young athletes, they're now having children and getting married. And instead of sending it to my first name, it's like Coach something. And my assistant coach from that time, I still call Coach. My high school coach, I still call Coach. I want to have that influence because that means so much to me to be able to go and talk about Coach Shelton or Coach O that I played for. Coach Vanoy. Those guys I still refer to as coaches, not John. Or and it's like I'm like I everything that they give me, it's something different. It's the respect and you've earned it. Right. And I still tell them, I'm like, you can call me Mitch. You call me by my first name. It's like, we're done. Ball's over. No, you've given me more than just, a sport and knowledge in sports. There's things that you were preparing me for that I didn't know at the time, that when I became 22, 23 years old or freshmen in college and had to go through that experience that I wasn't ready for. And that's exactly, I know it's crazy because you're thinking we're going from 10th to college kids, right? Or adults, but at 10, you're preparing for middle school, which middle school is probably the hardest 3 years of anybody's life. It's tough in middle school. And then you're dealing with from middle school to high school. So we have, even preparations at a young age trying to get to that next level. And I love having that influence. I don't mind working out with 10-year-olds. I love going to the games and I hang out with them. We're in the dugout. They love it when I'm there. They elbow me, and they're all about,
rubbing your head,
4 foot tall and stuff still. So, they're trying to clothesline my belly, but it's fun, so I can pick them up and put them in the rack and hang them upside down. And that's the kind of stuff I like. I enjoy doing because it's fun for me. That's outside of baseball, but coaching them, it's tough to actually be in game mode and making sure that the kid's not locked in. They're out just running up and down the sidelines, doing absolutely nothing that makes sense.
Well, folks, we're gonna make this announcement here real quick. We want to welcome Barron. He's gonna join the YBMcast family. When we met Barron down there, we started having conversations, and we've been having conversations since we did the tour stop. And It's down there at the bottom. It's a little small. There you go. There it is. Barrett's going to be the host of our YBMcast Tennessee program. He's going to start doing a weekly podcast that's going to talk all about tennis, baseball around his area, whatnot. I'm going to let Barron share a little bit of his thoughts and what's coming up and what that's going to be like. Go ahead, Barron.
I'm really excited about this. It's going to be a lot of fun. Talking baseball with a bunch of guests from all over Tennessee, people that you run into. Been doing it for over 20 years now, so you meet a lot of people. And we'll have some organizers or presidents from other organizations join us, some coaches from other organizations join us at the little guys level up to the high school level. We'll talk about all the topics from when is it too early to travel, or when should you start thinking about it, or is a premier team absolutely necessary, or how to talk about college prospect recruiting and just all the things that you want to get into. We'll have some parents on the podcast, some moms, some all kinds of stuff. So I'm really excited about this one. I'm happy that I met these guys and get this opportunity. It'll be a lot of fun.
Cool, huh?
I think it's awesome. What are we going on, year 3 now? Are we going on year 3?
You and I?
Yeah. I was super nervous my first time coming on and just being a guest. And I think that's how it started. It was a guest, and then it turned it into 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes. And I love talking baseball because it's you think everybody's got like these bright ideas, and really a lot of us are just the same. It's, how we're presenting this information to folks. A lot of our goal is to make these young people better. Period. Like just better at anything, better at life, better, whatever. And everywhere and everybody we talk to, very like-minded. And so I can't wait to tune into some of those shows and see what Tennessee's about, the Middle Tennessee area or wherever you're going, and the Southern twang, and whether or not you have soda or you have pop or you have, y'all, that kind of thing is going to happen. It's cool. I like Tennessee.
Oh yeah, I love it. See, because we get into some pop culture around here, don't we?
We do, and I'm hoping that Barron takes me over to Reelfoot and can get me on some crappie or some duck hunting over at Reelfoot Lake.
We can do that. We can do that.
There we go.
I knew he was going to get hunting in there somehow.
This one time at Reelfoot Lakes, my first time ever experienced, we rented a boat, little 15 horsepower, whatever it was, little small motor, and beautiful morning. We go out, and I had a child at 15. So I just turned 16 years old. So talk about adversity. I had to have some accountability real early on in life. But anyways, we went down there. She may be 4, 5, 6 years old, something like so. Sophomore year of college. So I guess I was 20. And we're down there fishing. It's a beautiful morning. I'm out there fishing some cedars, catching crappie, putting them in there. We're fishing with crickets, minnows, you name it. All of a sudden, these dark clouds roll in. And I don't know if you know anything about Reelfoot Lake, but it gets windy.
Yeah,
and I
stuck.
caught one wave, and it into the boat and filled the whole entire boat up. And I'm running as wide open as I can. I'm trying to ride these waves all the way, and we're all life jacket up. We're going. I finally get to calm water, and I can make my way to the dock. And the guide, the helper, whatever, the dockhand, my significant other jumps out, throws my daughter out of the boat. She jumps out of it, and all that water's still in the boat. I'm like the Titanic. I go backwards. I went under the water, and I'm watching this guy jump into the boat, and he tries to bring the weight back down to the front of it, to put the boat back out of the water. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I almost went to the pearly gates down in Reelfoot Lake. I was underwater. I went backwards, lost all my fishing stuff, everything. And my significant other was like, we are leaving.
Didn't think you were going to hear that story today, did you, Barron?
No, I did, but I've heard that experience. We boat on Old Hickory Lake all the time whenever it's not baseball weekend, which is very few times, but we've run into storms too, and it is scary. It gets on you in a hurry.
No joke. Needless to say, trying to convince her to let me buy another boat.
Yeah.
She's like, can you buy one big enough? I'm like, absolutely. I need a boat that can handle 4 people in a duck blind. So can I get like a 20-footer, you know? And she's like, is it big enough that I'm like, absolutely. We have bilge pumps. We got technology. Absolutely be just fine. I like to hunt, Barron.
Oh, yes, he does. I've called and it's like, I'm hunting, man. Leave me alone.
I'm off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for a reason.
There you go.
There it is. Barron, we are looking forward to it as well. Folks, Barron Mathis on the Prime Sports Midwest call-in link. We appreciate him tuning in. And so, first show. What's the date, Drew? 12th? Is it the 12th? March 12th. Coming up. It's not that far away. The inaugural YBMcast Tennessee will be happening March 12th. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the dinger. Looking forward to having Barron as part of the family here talking baseball. I've seen what he's working on, man. It's impressive. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, I'm going to have to tune in because I have not seen it, Barron. So I am a subscriber.
Yes.
So yeah. I'll see it.
So make sure you subscribe. He's got some dudes lined up, man. It's going to be fun.
Does he have his own subscription, or I don't know how you say it on YouTube?
It'll be there'll be his own playlist on there. It'll be right at the top of the channel. It's not going to be far. You'll be right there.
Gotcha. Right there, front and center.
Absolutely. So we're looking forward to it. We got some good stuff coming up, and we appreciate Barron wanting to be part of the team here. We do appreciate it very much.
Well, I'm excited. I've enjoyed meeting you guys, and I think this is going to be a good thing. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
So are you a Tennessee guy or Vandy guy?
Well, I'm a Kentucky guy. That's where I went to school.
Okay. How old are you?
I graduated high school in 99, graduated college 03. We're just jumping right into this. So how old am I? 42.
You know Mike Brayman?
Yeah.
So I played baseball against Mike here, obviously local after college and after he played professionally. So I know Mike, and he's got some kids growing up through the ranks over in Southern Illinois, the Blue Jays or whatever. He went to Kentucky. That's small, obviously, whatever, but.
Yeah,
that's
we know
cool.
a lot of the same people.
Yeah, he has. I don't know how he didn't get lucky.
We're pushing the time.
All right. Well, are you August 1st?
We're gonna hang on. We'll keep him on. You can ask him when we're done.
All right.
We're signing off. There
Sign
you go,
off.
folks. Thanks for tuning in. Please hit the subscribe button. Hit the dinger because that's what we do, right?
We hit dingers.
That's right.
I do. I don't know about you, Brian. You like to swing down at the ball.
I'm a gap to gap kind of guy. I'm a gap to gap kind of guy. That's fine, and I'll let him knock me in. That works.
Yeah, you run fast.
Right there?
Yeah.
I like it. There you go. See, that's the way it works, folks. Please subscribe. We got some great stuff coming up. Thanks for tuning in. Everybody have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, keep throwing strikes, and hitters, Barron, give the hitters some advice.
Swing up on ball, hit dingers.
So we do, man.
We'll see y'all next time.